where this is going that he will not, but I could be wrong. So, but at any rate, I just think, right, the justification for the look, for the tone, for certainly from what little we've seen of his performance, I think is fully validated.
I do love the casting for other roles as well. I mean, Colin Farrell after The Lobster and In Bruges and
Right.
and The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I mean, the
Well,
guy.
he's got such a blink and you miss it type appearance in the trailer. It's just like, yeah, that is him. That is actually him under those prosthetics, which look great.
I mean, I think he's become such an excellent character actor, and I'm glad that he's found that. Also, Zoe Kravitz. One thing I like about her is when I read the oral histories about the Mad Max films, she became like my biggest. I became like I don't know, like her not like biggest fan. That's weird. But I'd always been a fan of hers. I always thought she was good in her movies, but I loved everything she had to say in these oral histories. It was very
Right.
I don't know. I guess in roles like in the Grindelwald Fantastic Crimes,
Oh yeah,
she's really
fantastic.
been given a nothing roles. But like hearing her talk about the process and how she felt and how she go back, I'm like, this is a really cool person. So now I just want to see her in everything because the way she reflected upon Mad Max Fury Road, I think she came out of all of that is the best. And then like Paul Dano, I mean,
I can't wait to see what he does with this. His voice alone is, I think most people got kind of goosebumps from it, but we haven't seen him yet. We just heard his voice, and it's, I mean, obviously modulated, but it's just wonderful.
I mean,
think he's
what Prisoners, right? Or 12 Years a Slave. There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
Love and Mercy, he should have gotten an Oscar nom. This is a guy who I think can really pull off. War and Peace, I actually loved him in too. But he can, I don't know, he can pull off menacing.
I mean, he's like the indie actor du jour right now. I mean, he's sort of this is the same actor who was in The Girl Next Door and played a character named Klitz.
Yeah.
Like, how far has he come? It's incredible.
Yeah, I love, I don't know, I mean, you got Sarsgaard, my apologies, Andy Serkis. I hope a bug doesn't eat him like in King Kong, geez Louise. Then John Turturro, Barry Keoghan, Keoghan.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Irish. I know that. And I'm curious as to who will play Dunkirk, right?
Killing of a Sacred Deer. The kid can act. That performance in The Killing of a Sacred Deer, I was like, this kid can do anything. This is so insane.
The movie is just so full of purposeful discomfort, but it takes such an actor to deliver that kind of delivery, right? Those lines. And I don't even know what I used to describe it, but in such a way that it doesn't fall apart or just come off as stilted or goofy. Yeah, I'm excited to see what this cast can do, because even something like Jeffrey Wright, which felt maybe like the most obvious, maybe despite appearance, casting for like a Jim Gordon, he just exudes that mood to me.
Yeah, and the mustache is great too.
Precisely, yeah.
So I dig the cast they brought in. Matt Reeves is a very safe choice. So, I mean, you make two near $1 billion grossing movies that have 90-something% tomato meter scores.
Sure.
You got some support going on in there. You have J.J. Abrams backing. You have Oscar-nominated cinematographer. You have an excellent cinematographer, production designer. So I mean, I don't know. I think this movie's safe, man. I think the one thing I worry about is when I watch the Planet of the Apes movies and when I watch Let Me In and Cloverfield, I liked all of them, but I don't think I own any of them. And so I watched them all and I really enjoyed them, but I left going, yeah, that was cool. I don't need these movies. So he can make, I hope people are getting mad because I know people adore these films. He can make movies that are technologically beautiful. I mean, Caesar in these films with Andy Serkis' performance, but they've never caught on to me emotionally. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do that with me in this one. I mean, how do you see it going?
I'm glad you brought up the emotion thing, and I think first thing, I'll agree with you. I do think, without getting too far ahead of ourselves, my anxiety had a lot to do with the tone and direction. I think, 25% or not shot, what we've seen so far is more than comfortable for me. So I feel like this is their money or their movie or their game to lose. They would have to screw this up very spectacularly over the next few months, I think.
I don't think he will, right?
I don't think he will, but we've been wrong before. I would argue, the Joker had an amazing trailer, incredible, one of the best trailers I'd seen, and I'll be that guy. I don't think the movie delivered on that promise. It was fine, but I don't think it was as good as the trailer. So that said, I do think this is on the right track. I do think there's a lot of a lot to be excited about with good reason. And I also think, to your point about the emotion, you know, I'm partial, of course, to the Keaton Burton stuff, and those certainly evoke a lot of emotion in me, but maybe not for the purposes or the reasons, rather, that have to do with Bruce Wayne as a character or the characters within. Maybe Selena Kyle and Batman Returns, but, you know, it's a lot of spectacle and it's a lot of, you know, fanfare and heroism, right? You hear the Danny Elfman theme swell and stuff like that. So that's what I appreciate about those movies. In this movie, I'm glad that we're finally seeing a very vulnerable and intimate depiction of Bruce Wayne and apparently as Reeves puts it, the battle for his soul. And, you know, it's simple stuff. It's very easy to see. Even the final frame of the trailer with him with his, you know, raccoon eyes, you know, he looks gutted. He looks like he's in over his head. That's what I want to see from a Batman who's out of his element, who doesn't have all the answers, who doesn't have the quick solve, because that's basically what we've seen. Every sort of obstacle in the previous films, right? Even if in the '89 movie, sort of busting the Joker's toxin, right? He sort of makes quick work of that within not even a montage. And the ballistics thing from Dark Knight, maybe what was that, all of a couple minutes long?
Yeah.
So we're talking about an entire movie mystery where he isn't sure. So that's what I'm excited about. So I think that's going to unpack a lot of his character finally in ways that we haven't seen. And certainly with whatever secrets that Reeves is trying to impart with the city as a whole, because it seems to be, and I don't want to say he's going in the Court of Owls direction, but the idea, the concept that, yeah, Bruce thinks he knows Gotham, but he never really knows what's going on, not in its deepest depths or what have you. So I think that's going to be really exciting as well, because this is a Gotham we haven't seen before. And I think he made a mention of that on DC Fandom, right? This idea that we saw Chicago and New York and London and a lot of the Warner Brothers sets and the previous ones that were very Gothic and beautiful by Anton Furst, which I love. But this idea of what we are seeing that, okay, for lack of better context in the trailer, looks a lot like a dark, gritty Seven, right? Very street level stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for that because we haven't seen that yet. So yeah, I think every box has been checked for me.
And I like it. Obviously we haven't watched it yet. So and the one guy he does fight, he absolutely destroys.
Sure. But he does it in a way that's very sloppy, yeah, which I also think is important. I think it's so telling and great.
I guess I just hope that. What am I trying to say? So for me, I love the John Wick movies. I actually own all of them. I praise them all. I put them in the best of list.
Genre is certainly at the other end of the spectrum, I would think.
But he destroys everybody. And so the action scenes are less about...
It's more choreographed.
Yeah, there it is. And I love it. I mean, they are marvels of choreography.
They're absolutely beautiful to see.
But for me, I like the learning. Like I'm going to go back to Unbreakable when he fights the serial killer in that home with the pool.
Well, it's just more emotionally engaging.
Yeah, just watching someone find strength.
Right. We don't connect with John Wick because he's doing amazing gun fu. We're watching a show. Right? Yeah. We're watching fireworks.
Oh no.
When I see Batman take a hit to the chest, you know, I want to feel, oh God, is he gonna get out of this? Like, you know, like year one, the comic. So.
I think the fights will be good though, because Robert Alonzo is the like supervising coordinator on this for a lot of the fights. And that dude, he's been around forever working on movies. He's been, you know, like around since 2000 or late 90s. I mean, he did stunts on Spider-Man 2. Like, he did stunts on The Rundown. Like actually, look at the stunts. Go to IMDb and type in The Rundown, and then look at the stunt crew. Jeez, it's all the best stunt people who are working in the industry today. But recently, he worked on. He was the fight coordinator, stunt coordinator in American Ultra. I liked how grimy that was. He did Deadpool, which I guess was fun. But I guess he moved on to The Wall. I really like that. Den of Thieves. He did a movie called Brazen. Bad Times at the El Royale. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's one of the best recent fights. I mean, it's brutal that you can think of. So I think watching Alonzo, I think his fights, just gauging from his history, the majority of it, it's going to be quite brutal. These battles.
That's great. And this guy clearly knows what he's doing. I know and hope Frazier and Reeves will be able to capture it better than Nolan. And I know I've made this complaint before on your pod, but, you know, one hang up among a laundry list I had with Nolan's is that, you know, he's going for an effect that this Batman is chaotic and speedy and, you know, can take out a room of guys. But, what good is that to me as a member of the audience if I can't see it or follow it? So, I would hope that that's a little bit more clear and a little less cutty, so to speak, in the editing room.
No, all these fights that I'm watching that he's done, they're grimy. They're I don't think Once Upon a Time
a little sloppy, a little less choreographed.
Deadpool was, but Deadpool is a comic book movie.
Full comic book scale movie. Sure.
He worked on Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. Tom Cruise isn't going to allow a choppy fight scene. I loved how The Wall with Doug Liman, I really enjoyed. I don't know. I think just watching what he's done, man, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I dug. He did Black and Blue, which I liked. Tyrese was in that. He was actually really good. Tax Collector. David Ayer doesn't hire chumps. Jeez Louise. But no, I don't know. I think this is going to be good. I think he's.
Yeah.
I think just the talent behind and in front of the camera is going to make this. So even if I'm not leaving the theater mind blown, I put money on it being good.
That's what I'm forecasting myself. Like that, it seems to me, even if this is somehow a letdown of an ending, which who can say, I don't see myself being bored by this, right? Because it is unexpected. There's a lot of stuff in here we simply haven't seen from a Batman movie before. So while I do think it's totally fair for people, whether they're fans of DC or Batman or not, maybe they just hate comic book movies and just say, wow, another Batman movie, who'd have thunk it? I just think this movie deserves a bit more give and leeway because so far, just with the little we've seen, I would be hard pressed to find anybody who's still still not impressed to some degree. Certainly for me as a comic fan, there's just so many small details. Like I sense this is going to be around Halloween. I do believe there's like a pumpkin or something on a stoop in one of the press shots. So I do want to think, certainly from my favorite stories like The Long Halloween, there will be these flourishes. I don't actually know if we've had a Batman around Halloween time yet. Maybe Christmas for sure, but I think it would be appropriate.
And what I hope about this movie, I hope it's more The Crow than it is more.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of The Crow I'm seeing in this.
That movie's grungy AF, man. That one is. You don't get grungier than The Crow. What do you think? What do you think Proyas in his heyday could have done?
That's a good question. I think the answer is what you just said. I think it's The Crow.
Yeah.
Right.
Dark City. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Funny.
Well, it's interesting you say that because a lot of the people who my friends who aren't big Batman heads, that's the first reaction they got. It was less about Seven. It was less about other serial killer movies. It was like, whoa, this looks like The Crow. And I was like, that's interesting. I didn't realize that would be top of mind for a lot of people, but I do see that.
No, I just hope it's like that. The grungy soundtrack. You already have Nirvana.
Well, I'm excited for the Giacchino theme because what kind of stakes are you looking at with that? You've got to follow Elfman and Zimmer and Howard.
The good thing is it's in a movie like this and not another $200 million bat. You get to have a grimy Reeves picture.
Sure.
To do. Let's do all Nirvana covers. It's fine. Be good.
Well, it's interesting because they took something away, but it was sort of morphed. So it wasn't really a remake or adaptation of the song. It was just sort of infused with whatever motif Giacchino came up with the theme, which I think is cool. But it was interesting. I wonder how much of that was reverse engineered.
I do want to say, I did have a bit of a because you just watched the Suicide Squad and you have Leonard Cohen and you have.
But Zack Snyder is always going to use that song. He is in love with Hallelujah, and I get why he used it in Watchmen. I don't understand why he had to use it again for this, but whatever.
I just hear so many covers. Like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs did the Immigrant Song, and it's just I'm like another cover.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, I do like this song, so I was totally cool with it. I was fine, I guess. But hey, so how about this? One more thing. We haven't covered a few elements in this, but there's a trailer I really love, and I don't know if you remember watching this, and it's really random because I fell asleep while watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake with Jessica Biel. I was in the theater, fell asleep. I was like, this is horrible. But the trailer, it used like the photos.
Sure,
and then it showed the chainsaw. It showed the scenes that everyone wanted to see, him running, the chaos, and then the music. Yeah. And then So they
Well,
basically.
It was an audio thing. It was an audio thing that goes to black and you hear his footsteps. That was the big deal maker.
It was excellent though because